Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Strength Agenda Radio. I am one half of your hosting pair, Tom Soroka. This is Mr. John Ziegler with that ugly ass hat on. John, how are you doing this morning?
Dude, I am fabulous, Tom. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. Might need you to change your hat, but we're all okay.
Buddy, it's the two losingest teams in baseball.
No, that's not actually. The Rockies are
Oh, that's right. The Rockies have shit the bed
and I
in.
actually got to go. I went to the toilet bowl this year. I went to go
Did
watch the
you?
White Sox and the Rockies play each other.
No.
Yeah, it was great. White Sox beat the brakes out of off of them. Um, and yeah, it's but no, the Rockies are actually on pace to break the White Sox record they set last year for worst team in or worst season in
Yeah.
MLB history.
I forgot about that.
Everybody has.
I love Coors Field though. Like that stadium
It is
is
it,
it's
it's a
really
cool.
nice. I've seen a few games there. I saw the Rockies lose to the Red Sox, and as a Red Sox fan, that's a big deal.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I have
It was
hats. Like people are always weirded out because I'll wear different team hats, but I'm a baseball fan in
yeah,
general.
yeah,
Just grew up like Red Sox are my team. I'm rooting for them all the way till the end every single time.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I have teams out of each division that I like to kind of
That's
follow
fair. That's
and
fair.
do so I get the hats for them.
Yeah.
But I went out, saw the Rockies and the Red Sox play, and it was the night that Dustin Pedroia hit 3 home runs in a single game.
Oh
So
my.
as a Red Sox fan, you were like, "Oh, this is amazing." And as my buddy and I are exiting that stadium, there's this girl who's just visibly hammered in the stands, and she looks up and she's like, "Red Sox suck." And I was like, "Yeah, that's good. Yep, yep, that was great English. I think you're
Yeah,
trying to say Red Sox suck, but you look like you're gonna throw up on yourself, so I'm just gonna keep
exactly.
walking."
Yeah. No, the game was fun to go to because that was I mean, I joke around about it, but the White Sox pretty much are playing with a whole AAA team. A lot of rookies, a lot of new people or whatever, and
Yeah,
this
they really are.
this one stud that they've been talking about for the last year and a half, Colson Montgomery, that was his kind of his breakout game. He had his first 3 hits of his career against the Rockies and such like that. Like I said, it's a really nice park. Um, I just don't understand how they can't build a better team in that park. Because everybody talks about how it's a hitter's park and all that
Yeah.
stuff, and but management just doesn't seem to build a team.
When I was out there, they had a good team. It was only a couple of years removed from when they went to the World Series,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And so they had a good team, and it is a hitter's park. It's a beautiful park.
yeah.
I feel like every now and then, team owners just get this wild hair up their ass where they just give up.
That's the White Sox. That's why what's his face has been asked to be sold. They've been begging Jerry to sell the team for the last 5 years.
Yeah, because it's just there's a point like the ownership just goes, we're filling seats, and as long as we continue to fill seats, why bother?
And I
I
think,
got this A's hat when they were still in Oakland.
well, I mean, the A's have cool colors.
Yeah.
Like
Right?
I'm the same way. Like I'll buy a hat if the colors are cool. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And so I get it. I just like making fun of any team that's not. I'm also bitter towards the Athletics because I think it was the COVID season 2020. The White Sox finally went out and bought players and they
Hmm.
loaded up their roster. And we had Renteria as our manager. And that year, going down to the last final games of the season, he had no clue they were in a race for the division. And so he was just making bonehead moves, and it was like if we lost our last few games, we ended up having to play the Athletics, who were red hot at the time,
Oh,
pitching wise. And they ended up just blanking the White Sox. And I was just like, you got to be shitting me right now. That was the 2020 and the
yeah.
2021 seasons were our best chance of doing anything recently. And they just completely just dribbled down their leg.
Hey, at
Both
least
seasons.
at least they never did what the Red Sox did, which was, let go of everybody that helped them get to the World Series and
I
then
saw
brought in
that.
Bobby
Yeah.
Valentine for a
Yeah.
year to just show that, hey, we're still the same old Red Sox guys. We're fully
Yeah.
capable of shit in the bed in a
Yeah.
major way.
Yeah. I mean, that was
Anyway,
that was everybody's saving grace when what's his face Theo came to the Cubs.
Oh yeah.
He was the one
Yeah.
that built up the Red
Yeah.
Sox dynasty over there. So,
That dude's so sweet.
anyways, in other events, more fitness related events, we had
Yeah.
the CrossFit Games this weekend. I will be 100% honest and say that I was not watching or participating whatsoever. I was in the mountains decompressing and recharging. But I kind of talked to you a little bit about it throughout the time. Yeah, saw
Yeah.
some updates and things like that when my cell phone reception decided to kick in, which was fine with me. But yeah, John, I kind of wanted to get your take on what was going on because I'm not going to lie to you. We were talking about it. I pulled up the leaderboard here. I don't know half of these names. There's
Yeah.
maybe on the guy's side, there's five names that I recognize.
Mm-mm.
Most notably, second place finisher Ricky Garrard. Um, on the women's side, the champ, the GOAT, Tia
Yeah.
Claratune. And then on the team side, Mayhem finished on the
Yeah.
podium again. I feel like they're
Yeah.
just kind of granted a spot, even though Rich isn't competing anymore. I feel like Mayhem is just continuing to kick right along here. So I just wanted to kind of get your takes on it. I'll throw in my little 2 cents and stuff like that, some of my observations. But like, what were your take on the CrossFit Games? Because I've heard everything from, you know, it was absolutely back, CrossFit is back, to like the opposite end of the spectrum. And it was like, oh, same old CrossFit. So like, what are your takes on it and how it was run, how it was going, the athletes and everything like that?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's so going back to like I've been around CrossFit for a long time. You've been
Yeah.
around CrossFit for a long time, right? Like Rach and I talk about it. Like we randomly like happened to have both started CrossFit in the same year.
Yeah.
So in 2012.
Yep. That's
Um,
mine.
yeah.
So
So right.
real quick, what? Because I always like people's origin stories, so to speak, with CrossFit. So like mine, for instance, my introduction to CrossFit was my wife at the time signed me up for a 5K. Didn't let me phrase that. Her and her friends got signed up for a 5K. They were talking shit to me that I couldn't run because I was a big, football player, track guy, or whatever, and I
Right.
died. So they kind of dared me to do the 5K. They didn't tell me that it was only like I think it was like we had like 6 weeks to prepare for this thing. Like so, me being stubborn young male signed up for it, and then I was like, shit, I gotta do something.
Right.
And so I was working at a fitness studio at one point. Somebody brought up CrossFit and that they had a website with like free workouts. So what I would do was I had a garage gym, was doing my workouts. And then what I would do is I would go pull up main site.
Yeah.
And I would just, whatever the Metcon was for whatever that day on main site, I started doing it. And I was working out like 4 or 5 days a week, doing my a Metcon after I was done with my lifting and stuff like that. And I absolutely like for me, I crushed this 5K. Like I was like I finished like top three in my they do age groups and stuff like that. And I just remember like people looking at me at the 5K being like, this guy, why, why is this guy here kind of a deal? And I
Right.
am doing really well, beat, all the people that I was there with from my little party and stuff like that, but I also did really well at it. And I was hooked from that point on. I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, there's something to this. And so no matter where I was in life, I would just follow the main site stuff. And then when I went out to Cal Strength in 2012, which is like right around outside of San Francisco, that Pleasanton,
Yeah.
California area, that was like the hotbed for CrossFit. Like there was a CrossFit on every corner, like a Walgreens. And so
Yeah.
I started teaching weightlifting classes. And then when I went to South Carolina to be with Muscle Driver, that was how I made a living was I would go to like 4 or 5 different gyms and teach weightlifting classes to their CrossFitters and so forth. And then when I came back to Chicago, I opened it. So I'm always curious how people's origin stories like got going when they got into CrossFit. So how did yours get going?
Yeah. So I was living in San Diego at the time,
Oh
and
wow, yeah,
yeah, and at the time, like, so I mean, there were CrossFit gyms. It's not, it wasn't like it is now, or even what it was at its peak when there were, over 13,000 around the country, and you
yeah,
had people planting gyms like a mile away from each other. But there were still like a pretty good number in San Diego at that time. I was doing a lot of obstacle races. So I was running and I'd go to the gym and I'd lift and everything else. And you know, I was at work and somebody that I worked with was like, "Hey, does anybody want to do like a memorial workout this weekend? It's X amount of money. You get a t-shirt when you sign up." And I was such a t-shirt whore from events. that I was,
Right.
oh, I get a t-shirt from this? Cool. And the money from the event went to a veterans foundation. So as a veteran, I was like, of course, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Of course I'm in. Like, let's do this thing. So I show up, no idea what's happening. None whatsoever. This little tiny like square space in a that's part of a warehouse strip or what have you. There's probably a solid 50 plus people there,
Oh wow.
including a shit ton of Navy SEALs.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it turns out I showed up and did for the 31 Heroes Memorial WOD.
Okay. Which is that? Which is that one?
So that's the partner workout, 400-meter sandbag run, thrusters, rope climbs, box jumps.
Oh,
And
bro.
it's yeah, so it's a super long AMRAP.
Mhm.
It commemorates the largest loss of life in Special Forces history.
Okay.
So it turns out the parents of one of the guys that lost their lives in that tragedy were there.
Okay.
They were giving a speech about their son and the whole thing. Like they've got a shadow box with his picture in it and like the flag that they were given and the medals and the SEALs are all guys that served with those guys.
Jesus.
So
That
this
got
is like
real
suddenly
quick.
a super personal like event. And then they ask, they say, "Hey, do we have any other veterans in like any active duty or any veterans in the crowd?" And so a handful of us, we raise our hands. And we got to go up and stand with all these guys, and we released like 31 red balloons into the sky before the workout even starts. So
Holy
like
hell.
right. So I'm like emotionally like, holy shit. Like this suddenly becomes very different than like, hey, we're gonna go do Murph or we're gonna go do, Mannion, which is great and there's some emotion attached to that. But when you're standing there with people who served side by side and the family members of the guys who lost their lives, you were like, okay, well, this is, let's do this thing. Like I'm glad that I'm here. I'm glad that I'm part of it. The workout kicks off. My buddy that I'm partnering with is ex-Army. Now
Yeah.
I'm ex-Navy. And so we're standing there and we're feeling pretty good. Like both of us are fit. They let the Navy SEALs go first.
Yeah.
And I think about 15 minutes into the workout, I leaned over to my buddy and I go, "Hey man, I think they're halfway through and the Navy SEALs are breathing heavy. We're
Yeah.
in deep shit."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like we have clearly overstepped
Yep.
what
Yep.
we
Yep.
think we're gonna do. So then it gets to our turn, and man, like the workout itself was phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, this is great. Like this is a legit, like this workout's hard. It sucked, like, but in a great way. Everybody's kind of barking at each other too, because it turns out there's a bunch of us that are either vets or, current active duty. So I'm like running by, and one guy's running by me. He's like, "You got to move faster, Navy." And like we're just, chatting back and forth. And it was awesome. So
Yeah.
after that, I was like, I could blend this into what I'm doing to,
Right. Right. Right.
for racing and everything else. And so that was my introduction. And I kind of did like you did, like main site workouts from time to time in the gym, if or in my backyard or wherever I could get it in. And then met a dude named Mark who had a gym, CrossFit 858. They don't have that anymore, but shout out to Mark. So did a couple workouts there, but
Yeah.
then wound up going on the road for a while just for fun. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because I wound up working for Spartan Race.
Oh, nice.
And when I moved out to Boston and I was living in South Boston, CrossFit Southie was like a
Yeah.
quarter
Yeah. That
away.
was one of the big ones.
Yeah. And huge shout out to Goose and Amy and everybody at CrossFit Southie. Like that was still absolutely one of the best experiences I think anybody could ever have getting
Yeah.
introduced into CrossFit, on a regular basis, like in a class setting.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of the reason I'm telling that part of the story is even though I started in like 2012, I didn't really do like I didn't go to a CrossFit gym like we're talking about. I went to main site and pulled stuff off main site. And then
Yeah.
when I got out to Boston, I was like, all right, well, let me go to this CrossFit gym that's a quarter mile away. And it was such a killer experience. It really was one of those things that um I think for me also led to the, hey, I want to do this. Like I want to coach this. I want to
Yeah,
I want to bring this to people. They had such a good vibe, such a good good coaching. And
right,
when I say good coaching, I mean we're talking about like legit, I'm gonna
yeah,
stop you while you're moving,
right. Like
right? And
we're gonna back this down, make sure you're doing it right.
100%, right?
That's always
100%.
awesome.
Yeah. And so, and then, when I wound up coming out here to the Chicagoland area and like you, I opened up my own spot. I think we both opened our spots around the same time.
Yeah,
Probably.
mine was I opened mine around 2016.
Yeah. So mine was a little bit before yours. I opened mine a little bit before yours. But it was funny. I was talking to somebody and we were talking about how long have you been coaching like CrossFit? How long have
Me?
you been? Yeah, like, well, just in general, like how long I was talking to other coaches at the
Oh
gym
yeah.
that I coach at now, and we were talking about how long, I was asking, I was like, how long have you been doing CrossFit? How long have you been coaching CrossFit?
Yeah.
The average was like a few years.
Yeah. I mean, like for me, if you count the weightlifting classes and stuff like that that were part of the thing, 13 to 17,
You know?
18 even, because I still had my level one and I would sub at a couple of gyms if they needed somebody to cover like a weekend class or something like
Yep.
that. So 13 to 18. And then when I was back in North Carolina, I was coaching CrossFit again for about a year and change. And it was just simply for the stuff that you were talking about. It's just like everybody knew I wasn't killing them on their Fran time or whatever, but like I was coaching them, making sure they're doing
Yeah.
things the right way and stuff like that. So yeah, it's one of those things like I appreciate what it did for the fitness space, and that's
Yes.
my thing is I always talk to people about, because I coach, I do the USAW level ones, and I always get asked, like, what are your thoughts on CrossFit? And I'm like, I love it. And people get really confused when I say that because I don't think it's as much anymore. There's still a few people that are like, CrossFit is stupid and it's a detriment to weightlifting and all that.
Right.
But like at the end of the day, you can say whatever you want, but CrossFit put more barbells in the hands of general population than any other, like the next five fitness trends combined. And
Yeah.
because when I first got into Olympic weightlifting, working with Glenn in like 2012, 2013, I would tell people that I'm a weightlifter, and the number one question would be like, "Hey, how much you bench?" But then, like after like 2 or 3 years with the advent of CrossFit, by like 2015, 2016, I would say I'm an Olympic weightlifter, and people were like, "Oh yeah, snatch, clean, and jerk. Like, what's your best snatch or whatever?" Like they knew what you were talking about, and
Yeah.
so like you can hate the people and the business side of it all you want, but like what it brought to the fitness community is unparalleled and will never be matched again. Like High Rocks, I think has a good chance of sort of doing it, except for the fact that like I feel like they're missing that heavy barbell and gymnastics component. You know what I'm saying? Like I think High
Yeah.
Rocks is going to be a great alternative, and it sounds like they've got the organizational pieces in place to have staying power, unlike things like World Fitness Project. You and I have talked about Spartan Race, stuff like that. Like they're the staying power isn't there necessarily with those sorts of things. But I feel like High Rocks has a good chance, but like it just does, it's not the same. Like I've watched some of the races, I've been to an event now. I talk to people who are involved in it, and it's great. Like if it gets people fit and healthy, because that is a
Yeah.
problem in this country, I'm all for it. But it just doesn't bring all of the components in to one little neat package like
Right.
CrossFit does. Like you get
Yeah.
like, and again, just looking at this games leaderboard here, like I was kind of bummed. Like the one event I really wanted to watch was that back squat, and I'm probably going to go back and watch it. Um, and and I wanted to get your take on this because I always love when a games workout comes out that people haven't necessarily either seen before or done before. Like for me, for instance, I think it was 2016 or 17 when Heavy DT came out.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
So DT is one of my favorite workouts. I love DT. If it involves a barbell, like I am all for it. And at the time, I was training for grid to try to get drafted and stuff like that. So like when that heavy DT workout came out, I was like, I'm gonna do this. I did it. Absolutely smashed the workout. Was able to do like each round, unbroken and stuff like that.
Right.
I was feeling real big on myself. And at the time, I was working with the Outlaw Way. Rudy
Yep.
Nielsen and all those guys. And I remember kind of bragging to him about my times or whatever and stuff like that and how it compared to like the games guys and why so many guys were getting crushed and all that. And he goes, okay, now do the other like 5 workouts that they did before
Right.
heavy DT. And that kind of opened my eyes to it. Cause then like I know we've talked about the deadlift event that they've done
Mhm.
and like this back squat event. And somebody was just like Colton Mertens.
Yeah.
He's somebody I actually follow on social media, mostly because he's a farmer. And I
Hmm.
like watching him like work out on his property and stuff like that. Which sounds really weird to say out loud, but anyways,
That's right.
but like he won the squat event with a 570. And I had a
Hmm.
couple people send me the thing and they're like, oh man, like you figure that like they would squat more. And I was like, I don't know how many people you know that are putting up a 570-pound back squat and being able to run, like he probably runs like a 5-minute mile, close to it, can do, I'm going to go out on a limb and say he can do, 10 ring muscle ups at least unbroken. Can probably walk, 100 feet on his hands, can run that mile. And then, is also back squatting damn near 600 pounds. Um, like,
And I think it's to that point, right? What also people have to put into context is all the things you just said at some point came up over the weekend, like
right.
handstand walking, ring muscle ups, running, rowing, for miles, all of that jazz. So leading up to that back squat event,
Yeah.
they had done all that
Yeah.
in a course of like a couple days with just in the case of the back squat event, maybe like an hour of recovery time in between events. So, it's you got to put it into perspective. It's like, hey, you go out and do that. Like go out and make those things happen. And it's funny because you were talking about high rocks and I think we have different thoughts on high rocks. I appreciate what High Rocks is doing, but I've seen it before, like with Spartan Race and Warrior Wad and Tough Mudder. It's the same thing on a circuit. So to train for it, like when I see people training for it, they're training that circuit, right? To get better at that circuit. And
Right.
there's a lot of like chirping back and forth between High Rocks and CrossFit about who produces like the fitter person.
Yeah.
And I think it boils down to what you just said a couple seconds ago is that, uh, and somebody said this a while ago. They're like, you could take a games athlete and drop them into high rocks competition, and they can do everything in that high rocks competition.
Isn't that what Tia did?
Yeah. And you cannot take an elite level or games level, like high rocks athlete and drop them into the games and have them have similar success.
Didn't didn't CrossFit do that one time?
They gave Hunter McIntyre
Yeah.
a pass to come out to the games the year that they did the whole shit show of like, hey, we're going to include everybody from all over the
Yeah, it
world.
was like 250 people competed at the
Yeah,
game.
it was insane.
It
I
was
mean, it was
nuts.
cool. Like I went to that games and I watched it, and it was kind of like, hey, that's the Olympics at CrossFit. But then you started seeing people out on the event floor, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
right. And yeah, they gave Hunter a pass and he came out and he didn't make past, I think, two events. Maybe he got through the first three, but I don't believe so. I think he
Yeah,
tanked
because
out on the
they did
third.
cuts like every after every work after the first like
Yeah.
3 routes down to like the 50 or whatever.
Yeah. And I think he got cut after event three. And then his response to that was to go on his podcast and say everybody's on steroids that does CrossFit.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So anyway, but like to talk about the games this weekend and kind of the
Oh
reaction,
yeah.
I've talked to a few people and we watched some of the events over the course of the weekend. And I went into this unsure about, and we talked about it on the last podcast, unsure about like how Tia would fare. And
Yeah.
I made the statement, like if we see the Tia show up from before she started doing high rocks and we see that same kind of mentality and everything else, like nobody's gonna touch her.
Right.
She's gonna cruise through the weekend, she's gonna crush everybody. But if she shows up and there's some holes in her game suddenly because she did spend too much time like focusing on high rocks, then it could be wide open. And there
Yeah.
was a moment where she lost the leader's jersey um, after an event that honestly I was surprised she didn't do that well in.
Right.
And then you just saw like what makes her so great. And that it was she was just unfazed and she was like, okay, well, let me go ahead and just smash the rest of the weekend and remind all of you that this is my house.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, and so it became abundantly clear by the like mid part of day two as she just started to pull away,
yeah.
like without question, and her lead started to go from like, hey, look, we're 20 points up to, oh, we're 80 points up to we're
I mean,
100 points up.
she literally she's like 150 points, 160 points ahead of everybody.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're just like, okay. And to your point, like the field behind her, I didn't know a bunch about.
Yeah,
I mean, there's Danielle Brandon, but I feel like she's just kind of meh. Haley Adams turned in a performance I was surprised wasn't as good as in the past. Brooke Wells, it was her final year. You tell she was riding some different emotions, kind of, competing. But as for a lot of the others, the one that I was really excited for, um, and this is like Rachel's favorite right now on the women's side, is Olivia Kerstetter. And Olivia Kerstetter won the teen division a couple of times,
yeah,
once,
yeah,
maybe twice. And then she managed to claw back and have a phenomenal last couple performances that put her on the podium in third place. So that was cool to see
yeah.
because that's, you're looking for, I think at this stage of the game for the women, who's the upcoming like next
Right,
star.
right.
The men's field was phenomenal to watch because it
Yeah,
was
it
so,
was close.
dude, it was so tightly packed.
I mean,
The
50
events,
points is a 50-point spread between first and sixth.
yeah, I mean, it was tiny. Like we're talking just crazy how it went back and forth. Jason Hopper taking first was still a question mark. Like he had the red leaders jersey for the last few events, but if you go back, when you go back and watch some of them, go back and watch like Isabel on the Run, where they
Yeah,
did, you know, 200-foot run with six snatches at 155. And I mean that destroyed people.
yeah,
And
yeah.
to put it into perspective, like I tried a version of that with 100-meter runs at
Yeah.
135.
I remember you telling me this. Yeah,
Yeah, and it was rough.
yeah,
So those guys to finish that in like sub 3 minutes is insane. But he had a little bit of a stumble on that workout and then came back and just really strong showing. And in his last event, watching the last event, he looked like a smart, calculating athlete
yeah,
in a way that like I was really impressed by. Um, and the other young guns that are right there with him as far as age and everything, like they're all fighting tooth
yeah,
and
yeah.
nail. So it made it a lot of fun to watch. I was very happy for Jason Hopper. I was happy for the rest of the guys. Jeffrey Adler looked really out of sorts all weekend, which was surprising.
Yeah.
Um, Justin Medeiros like came in fifth, I think, and
Seventh.
seventh. Okay, seventh. But he looked better than he's looked in a few years. Ricky Garrard looked strong.
I'm
Uh,
happy. I'm pumped for Ricky Garrard. Like
same.
I thought. I mean, I'm just gonna say it flat out. I thought the BS that he had to deal with back in 2021 or whatever the year was that he
18.
got that he
18.
got bopped.
Yeah.
Thought that was horseshit. Like just I I'll just flat out say it. Like until CrossFit gets a legitimate testing agency involved in their drug testing, like it's suspect at best. I have friends who are games athletes who have literally admitted that Castro picks if he sees something questionable on social media, that's who gets randomly tested. Like
Yeah.
there is no rhyme or reason to the testing and stuff like that. I don't buy that they're 100% clean all the time. That doesn't mean that they're not. I'm not saying that like everybody on here is dirty and stuff like that. I just feel like Ricky was a sacrificial lamb back at that point. He was
Yeah.
paid to be a villain. And I'm kind of pumped that he was able to come back and finish on the podium again. Like I like he's somebody that I like. Like I knew his older brother Ben. He
Yeah.
was in a good league, and I got to talk to Ben a little bit and stuff like that because he was on that same team with Sam Dancer and all those guys. So
Oh
like
yeah.
I
Yeah.
got to kind of talk to him at that Diablo CrossFit and stuff. Like Ben's a good dude. I don't have too many issues with him. I know some people don't like them and stuff, but like I was really pumped to see Ricky back in the mix, and on the hook.
Yeah.
I think he's working with Justin Kotler now.
Dude,
Um,
there like so many of those guys like are out of the brute camp now.
oh, okay.
Like tons of them. And when it comes to Ricky, we've had this conversation about like performance enhancing anything, right?
Yeah,
And I think the take is like do what you want to do,
right.
right? But if you get popped for something, like you gotta be stand up about it. Take your licks,
Yep.
right? And then, decide whether or not you're going to try and move on after your 4 years. Now, I don't know, as far as like CrossFit Games testing, and I'm sure that there's favoritism. And, I think though, too, like when he got popped and, it came out, my thing with him was let's see what happens over the next 4 years.
Right, right, right.
Right. Let's see what kind of person comes out of the next 4 years because
Yeah,
either it's going to eat him alive and he's done,
yeah, yeah.
or he's going to step out and he's going to have that opportunity at redemption. And it was
Right.
interesting when he came back because it was everybody talking about like, well, should he, it robbed this, it stole Pat's opportunity to stand on the podium and all this stuff. And I was like, you know what? Either like he did his time.
Yeah,
So you either let him back in and you give him that opportunity, or, in my opinion, you just shut the fuck up.
right.
Like
No, I agree 100%. And I also, it's like, I like, I mean, it's, same thing going on here, but you got two people who cannot, you got two people talking about his accomplishments that couldn't accomplish half of what he's been able to do in a sport. Like, I'm never going to do it.
100%.
And so it is just 100% my opinion. I
Yep.
just, the PED conversation in CrossFit has always been an interesting one for me because of the people that I've been able to talk to and the information that I know and stuff like that. And nothing that I know is secret. Um, like I feel like it's very CrossFit has a very hypocritical PED policy. Like case in point, they just popped a guy during the open and they didn't even test him. It was just the guy admitted on social media that he was using BPC 157, which is a peptide to heal from
Yep.
knee injury, and they banned him.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, if you look, like half of these CrossFit podcasts, these CrossFit centered podcasts that are on there, are sponsored by peptide companies.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, what are we doing here? Like,
Well, even like Froning recently in one of his podcasts
yeah,
talked about the fact that he's using BPC 157 for his
yeah,
knee. And
yeah,
I think that there's that misconception about, what these things are and how they
right,
impact. And it's interesting too to talk about, I've talked to people that have been involved in the games and talking to them, we were talking about like the exceptions, right? TUI
yeah,
exceptions for like testosterone replacement therapy and everything
right,
else. And they were like, in the masters division, you'd be hard pressed to find somebody that doesn't have one of those in place.
exactly, exactly,
And don't get me wrong, like, yeah, dude, I'm on
right,
testosterone.
right.
I'm 52 years old and like when I got tested for it, my testosterone was super low and it had started to impact like things in my
Yeah,
life
absolutely.
and it was doctor prescribed.
Yeah, it's just one of those situations. Like it's just like I said, their policy isn't super clear, and I
Well,
just like I said, I just and it was funny because I remember, and I'm not picking on this podcast. I did it was the video. It was one of the first videos I saw. It was the dense updates.
oh yeah, yep, yep.
And they were the ones that broke the story about the guy getting popped or whatever. And then she's like, "Yeah, and our podcast is sponsored by," and it was just like something peptides. And I'm like, really? We're doing this now? Okay, cool. Like, I'm not saying don't take your sponsorship money. I'm just like, let's not demonize some of these folks when I mean, it's just like our politics. Like, you can't sit there and demonize something when, like, behind closed doors, like you're taking, money on the back end or under the table or whatever for the
Right, yeah. Or
sake
not
of it.
even behind closed doors. I mean, clearly you're like,
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
but
Um,
as far as like the rest of the game, because I know like we went long last time, so I'm trying to keep this a
yeah,
little
yeah.
short. But as far as the rest of the games goes, like presentation, there was a moment looking at the crowd that was on the stream that I thought, man, that's a light crowd.
Yeah.
Like almost looked like regionals level, like
How much of that do you
attendance.
think? How much of that do you think it was impacted by the location?
Probably
'Cause-
some of it. Also, like when I was looking at it, the other thing I kind of started thinking about was, I remember going and having stadium seats for Madison,
Yeah.
and honestly, the last like event in the stadium, a lot of people weren't there
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because they're scrambling to get home. It's late
Sunday
on a
night.
Sunday, yeah. So that could have some impact on that. They didn't do any that I saw like aerial shots of the outside, so you didn't get to see what does the vendor village look like, how many people
Yeah.
are milling around, and I don't know if that's just a cost thing or if that was an attendance thing.
Right.
Um, and I
Well,
and I
'cause
haven't
Albany's not an easy place to get to.
right, and I haven't talked to anybody that was there.
Yeah, I've only seen like two or three people on social media that like that I know
Yeah.
that just went. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody that I've seen that was there because of a company or some sort of
Yes.
an event affiliated. But like I think I only saw like two or three people that just up and went just to go.
Yeah. From a viewership standpoint, they did phenomenal. They had over 1 million people on their stream, which is where I think a lot of people got the, hey, they're back. I thought from an entertainment value aspect of watching it,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought the events were fun to watch. They
yeah.
felt accessible to anybody that's doing CrossFit, which I
Right,
think
right.
like kind of got away from a little bit in trying to make it like super crazy. Yeah, there's stuff like you're probably not going to do in an affiliate, but
Yeah,
a lot of it was, hey, you could probably do this in your affiliate. You could do
right.
this like with your people, which I
Yeah,
thought was great because that added what I felt was a little bit more of a community aspect to the games competition.
yeah,
And because they were things that you could do just about anywhere, it made it more interesting to watch because you're like, I want to go test this. I'm going to test it at my
right.
level, right? Because I'm nowhere near these guys, but I'm going to scale it back to where I think I could do it. And then I want to see like, where would I come in at?
Yeah, I saw a bunch of dudes like especially in the grid league testing out that running Isabel workout. Obviously, you get people throwing up their one rep max back squats on social media and stuff like that. Saying that they could win the CrossFit Games because they can squat more than beat people and stuff. Yeah, that's always the part that always interests me is like how it impacts, or not how it impacts, the lasting impact it has on the community post games.
Yeah.
And I feel like obviously last year there was extenuating circumstances and stuff like that, but I feel like the past few years it had been a while since you saw people who were, like you said, that community aspect that were like testing out these workouts for themselves to see where they stacked up and stuff. So that's why I was just kind of curious. The other thing I've noticed, like I said, I haven't paid attention really to the leaderboard too much. Like I've watched it in years past, but like the women's side in particular, the international flavor on the women's side, I feel like is a lot deeper than the men's side. Like the men's side,
I
I feel
agree.
like it's a three-country race between the US, Canada, and Australia.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Um, and then, but on the women's side, you've got New Zealand, you've got Great Britain, you've got Sweden, you've got Norway, you've got all these different countries and stuff like that. That just a bigger variety in terms of the pool and
Yeah.
stuff like that, which I always like to see because for lack of a better term, this is the World Championships. And it's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard to crown a world champion when it's like two countries competing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they can argue their selection process and everything else, but I think that for me, and we've talked about this, and then look at wrapping up. But for me, like I've been a big games fan for a long time.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I enjoy it, and I enjoyed watching regionals because you would follow regionals, and everybody, no matter what region they were in, did the same workout.
right.
So you would see a real interesting, like, hey, this person out in California finished, this workout faster than anybody else. They could be a legit contender. right now, I understand from a financial standpoint why they probably moved away from regionals. I think, I don't know,
Yeah.
right? Could be just that Glassman finally lost his mind and was like, do something different.
Right.
But for me, I feel like the lead up to the games has lost something because all these independent qualifiers are taking place and everybody programs the independent qualifiers different. If you went through and you had the same programming for all of the qualifiers to go to the games, then it's interesting, I think, because you can see how everybody's stacking up against each other on
Right.
the way to the biggest stage. And then when you get to the biggest stage, the storylines are much more fascinating because it's like it would be like rolling into the Super Bowl, but you got the New Zealand All Blacks
Yeah.
playing,
The Philadelphia Eagles.
playing the Philadelphia Eagles because they both went through these qualifying systems that everybody agreed would
Yeah.
bring the two best teams together. But you got one playing rugby and you got the other one playing
Yeah.
American football. And so when they show up, you're like, I don't really know because they're not on equal ground,
Yeah.
like
That
coming
makes
into
sense.
it. Right. I'd like to see it go back to that. Everybody's doing the same workouts leading up to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
You know?
I would too. I think it makes sense, but like, I also personally with this, I don't, are they sanctionals, like whatever
Yeah,
the
I think they're called
next round
sanctionals.
is, I would like it to be a one and done.
Yeah.
Um, because I feel like this year in particular, maybe it was just because I was paying more attention or whatever the deal was, but you had people going to like two or three of these
Yeah.
events
Like
to try
trying to
to
qualify.
qualify for the games and stuff like that. And again, like if that's within the rules, like you do you. I just feel like it kind of like it a lot like you were like what you were just talking about. It allows athletes to cherry pick the
Yes.
event based on,
What the workouts are.
location of the event, the workouts, how many qualifying spots are being given out, because I know like the amount of spots given out at some of these events was different too. Like I
Yeah.
know I think there were the one that was on the one that Mayhem, the Crown Syndicate or whatever, they were giving out 5 spots. Whereas I think the Torian Pro only gave out 3.
Right. And that happened during
Yeah.
regionals too, when you had a smaller region of
Well,
people.
right.
But, it was
You knew who to
you
do it, so
competed in your region,
yeah,
right? And you weren't allowed to go from region to region to region to region to
yeah,
try and like do better or to
yeah,
get more favorable workouts to your point, right? That cherry picking, like, let me get more favorable workouts to increase my opportunity to make it. No, everybody does the same workout. Everybody travels essentially the same distance or whatever.
yeah,
And let's go back to that process
yeah,
so that it's a little bit more entertaining or, something. But it'll be interesting, I think, to kind of wrap it up. I thought it was fun. I had a good time watching it over the weekend.
yeah,
I was really happy for Jason Hopper. Um,
yeah,
that was great. He's been working towards that for like 5 years. He
yeah.
gave a shout out to his wife on the floor, which I thought was,
Oh, I
clap
love that stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that, right? I was like, man, way to go. Like, way to acknowledge her sacrifice that she's
Yes.
made for you to be able to like do this. Like,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that
yeah.
shit's not easy. And
No.
then to see a Tia like there are some people who say, it takes away a little bit when you have somebody that's that dominant, but when you see somebody like her,
People
just
used to say the same thing about Jordan and all these other
yeah,
Gretzky and all these guys. Like they're oh, it's not fun because they're so good. I was like, yeah, but like what it took for them to be so good. Like
yeah,
that, it was the same thing with Frazier. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like
And
Fra-
Froning, like,
Froning, yeah, like it was just watching those guys just dominate year after year. Like for me, it got interesting with Frazier because like I wanted to sit there and be like, how much is he going to win by? Like how
yeah,
much
right?
better is he than everybody else? And
In the
I
entire
feel for
field.
me personally, that's where I'm at with Tia. Like knowing that she's only got a few more of these left, like
Can she make it to 10?
yeah, like but it's just like how dominant can she remain? Like, is anybody going to be able to close the gap, or is just she just that so far ahead of everybody that it's not even going to be close? Those are the kinds of things that I like as a casual fan.
Yep, same. I'm the same place.
So. Good deal. Good deal. All right. So with that being said, I feel like we did our question at the beginning because I had written down a couple questions, and that one about like your origin in CrossFit was my first one. Other question that I had gotten, what does your gym playlist look like?
Ooh, gym playlist. All right, since we only got a couple minutes left before I got
Yeah.
to do my online doctor appointment because
Yep.
I'm old. Is so gym playlist. I got a couple things that I just really love.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I've got a heavy lifting day going,
Yep.
I want 90s hip hop.
Attaboy. Attaboy.
Love 90s hip hop on a heavy lifting day. There is just something about it. Like you just
Yep.
kind of like you fall into that groove.
Yeah.
If I
Yeah.
if I'm pushing metcons, like if I'm testing
Yeah.
metcons or if I'm grinding it out, there's an artist called The Siege.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that play like a Spotify like random playlist of Run for Your Life by The Siege is like everything I need to like stay motivated through
Nice.
things when it falls apart.
That's awesome.
What
I'm
about
a
you?
I'm a Motown person myself.
Yeah, there we go.
I will have little temptations playing for the most part, but again, it depends on what I'm doing that day. Most days, especially nowadays, like I don't lift as heavy as I used to,
Yeah.
so it's just something to keep the vibes up. So Motown is my go-to. Announcement wise, what do you got? What do we got announcement wise? We have the
Uh,
app is about to pop off here. People we're still collecting not signatures. We're still collecting subscribers for the founders list.
yeah.
What else do we got going on, John?
We got the new website up. So the new website launched over the weekend. So go check that out. The everyday training program for the app does have a 7-day free trial attached to it now. That's something we haven't been able to do before to give
No.
people an opportunity to have that experience.
And
So
it's been filling up. I've seen at least two or three every day this week signing up for it. So that's pretty
yeah,
cool.
which is super cool. And within it, one of the things that we put in there, and I don't know if we talked about it last week, but I'll cover it really quick, is
Yeah.
we built a one rep max calculator for people.
Yep. It's really
And
cool. I got to finally play around with it. John
oh,
walked me
good.
through it on whatever day that was Monday. You called me. You're like, "Hey, I need you to
Right.
do this for me." It was pretty cool. I recorded. I did a screen grab video, and I'm going to post it on my stuff about the
Nice.
max calculator. It's super cool how it plays out the weights and everything like that. Like you did a really good job putting that together.
Yeah, it's again, like building it out, we talked about it as
Yeah.
I was building it out and it got to a certain point, it became, well, what would Rachel and like all the other Team Saw
Athletes.
members
Yeah.
need, right? And so it does everything from it allows you to calculate it out by whether you need it in kilos or pounds, whether you're using a
Yep.
men's bar or a women's bar.
Yep.
It even lays out the color of plates you need to put
Yeah,
on
it
for
does. That was
each
the cool part
percentage
for me.
weight. And then it also tells you like 1 through 10, like if
Yep.
your one rep
Yep.
max is 315 on something, then it'll run you through like your 2 rep max should be
Yep.
this, three should be this, so you can run down and kind of do that, which is nice, I think, if you've got a goal. If you're
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
hey, I want to get to a 400-pound back squat, what does that look like for rep maxes 1 through 10? And
Yep.
you
Yep.
start
Yep.
kind of laying out that game plan a little bit. So yeah, it's super useful. There's a lot of cool tools in there. Really excited for that. But yeah, the new website's out, and yeah, I think that's it.
Awesome. All right. For those of you who have not done so yet, just go over to www.thestrengthagenda.com. You're going to get a notification, some sort of a pop-up for the app sign up. Check out a lot of the cool stuff that we've got going on over there. John did a great job with the redesign of that website. As always, we appreciate everybody's support. Appreciate you guys subscribing, listening on, and stuff like that. And yeah, just thank you guys for everything. And we will see you guys later. John, you got anything last words?
Last thing before I forget, guys, if you are subscribed to our emails and you're not getting our emails, check your spam.
Yes, please do that. All
Yeah,
right.
they tend to go to spam. So check them out.
There you go. All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.